All right, let's go.
Hi.
Oh man, good week and weird week, I guess.
Hmm.
Some weird stuff coming up out of the news, which was a little sad for me.
Hmm.
Um, kind of was waiting to see if it was going to happen. I know that it's kind of happened in a bunch of other states, like sporadically, randomly, but now it's starting to happen on a more normal basis, which is weird. Um, well, not weird, kind of disheartening.
Hmm.
So, two families, definitely one out of Montana and one out of New York. They have both lost custody of their kids because of the state's trans laws. One is a girl, 14. She was out of Montana. And one is an 8-year-old boy out of New York. And so, because parents aren't affirming their gender, the states are removing the kids from the home, which was our biggest fear, right?
Yeah.
Like if man,
This is these stories are just very, very disheartening.
yeah,
Very
man.
disheartening that we're here. Um and that there are many people that are applauding this and celebrating this and approving this and um have been fighting for this to be a thing.
It,
And now that it's a thing, um what's up, Jody?
hey, Jody.
Um, it's something that you and I have talked about in every single video that we have that this topic has come up. And, for a while, you and I were trying to kind of figure out where we felt with the trans community and being gay and all this type of stuff. And for a while, I didn't want to talk about it. I wasn't ready to talk openly about it. Um, but since the attack, because I do feel like it's an attack of manipulation. I think it's an attack of
On
con-
parents.
control. And I think it's an attack on the innocence of our children. And as a mother of a 6-year-old, not only a 6-year-old boy, but an autistic 6-year-old boy,
Yeah.
this is terrifying for me as a mother, for us as mothers, for our son.
I and I always want to say this. There's a very big difference between women transitioning to men and men transitioning to women.
Mhm.
Uh, there's a lot more young girls out there. I mean, I kind of think the storyline revolves a lot more around the men that are transitioning to women, but I think psychologically it's a big attack on our young girls.
Mhm.
Um, and it's much easier for young girls to feel like, hey, just because I wear, I want to wear a sports outfit, or I want to wear, whatever, like I must be a boy. It's like, no, you can still be sporty and you can still, go play sports and have fun and do things that you like to do. And that doesn't mean that you're a boy. And unfortunately, with the language that's happening out there right now, our young girls are feeling like they need to become boys in order to do the things that they like to do. And that sucks on a real humongous level.
Mhm.
Um, and for our boys out there, I think the language started a little bit with uh, well, I mean, it started in a lot of places. I'm not going to go there, but to tell them that they can't just go be boys and they can't just do boy things
Mhm.
also sucks.
Well, hey Ken,
Oh,
um,
what's up, Ken?
that phrase, uh,
It's triggering.
"boys will be boys,"
Yeah,
was, I believe, part of a
it was part of the Me Too campaign.
yeah, and part of almost permission that men and boys will be boys and do inappropriate things. So I think that the phrase of boys will be boys or boys should be boys has been taken away from the innocence of, I think, where it started, where
It's been
is,
weaponized for
yeah,
sure.
where, young boys need to be out and busy and playing and roughhousing and like wrestling with their peers or their family members. It's like that is part of who they are, um genetically. And
Yeah,
so
that's
that the whole
yeah.
phrase boys will be boys, I think, has also been stripped away from the innocence of what that original statement, to my understanding. Now, I don't know where it actually started, but my
Yeah,
understanding of when I was growing up that boys will be boys, was the innocence of, boys roughhousing with each
yeah.
other, being a little like pushy on the playground, having
And
to
that was
learn.
always a thing, like, girls weren't really like that, so you had to tell them to, go easy, or you just knew boys were bigger. "Hey, you can't push your sister.
Right.
Hey, you can't push the little girl on the playground. Hey, what" it
But we also shared with our girls that, like, if you wanna if you wanna play and hang out with the boys, as
that's what
rough
they're
as they
gonna
are,
do.
that's
Yeah,
what they're gonna do. And it was, very much like, "Don't come crying to me if your brother pushes you." We've talked about the fact that your brother likes to be rough with his friends or his cousins and stuff like that. And if you don't like that behavior, I grew up with my two older brothers, and there were more boys on the street that I grew up with, and we were playing dodgeball and street hockey and kickball and all these type of things, like capture the flag and wrestling and all, like, and I was in that because I was a tomboy, but
yeah.
I never was also, I just that.
Also, too, we were more suited for it, right? Like, we were both taller, younger, very much younger. We were both bigger, younger. It
Mhm.
was just our body types were naturally, like, suited for that. You
Yep.
know what I mean? We
Yep.
weren't gonna get hurt if we fell. We weren't gonna get hurt if we got pushed.
Yep.
I mean, not hurt any,
Yep.
knee scrapes and
Right.
elbow scrapes
But the same
and
way that you would, even if you were running around on the playground and you
yeah,
just stepped wrong,
exactly.
like,
But it wasn't like, he was 5 inches taller than me and, 20 pounds bigger than me. It just
yeah,
so of course.
yeah.
But
But
yeah,
I
I
think
where
that,
it's
yeah, I think the phrase "boys will be boys" has been taken from the innocence of what I grew up understanding of what that meant, was that
right.
just boys are
Just boys are
rougher,
rough. Yeah.
rougher, and
And that's okay.
right.
Also, too, like, that's
Yep.
fine.
Yep.
They just are. That's just their curiosity. That's how they're yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And so with the first one, it was a 14-year-old out of Montana. It was a 14-year-old girl who and women girls have a very ge both genders have a very tough time with their puberty, right? Like, it's a
100%.
rush of hormones, it's a rush of, ovaries happening and testicles happening and a whole bunch of things happening. And for girls, I think it's just if they're uncomfortable with their bodies or whatever, it's just easier for them to just be like, "I'm gonna be one of the dudes," and go with it.
Mhm.
So this 14-year-old girl out of Montana, uh, she like through the school, I guess, stressed that she wanted to be a boy. If she wasn't going to be a boy, she was going to kill herself. Uh, and
And she
there,
went to
sh-
the school, like, what,
yeah,
counselor or
she went to the school counselor. The counselor sent her to an actual like hospital where she was evaluated, and they immediately told her dad and her stepmother that she was transgender, and you can have a dead daughter or uh, an alive son.
Well,
And
first off, I wanna say bravo to the counselor at the school, because you also hear stories about where counselors at schools, um, would take that information and then push their own agenda on the child to pursue whatever that is. So I applaud the counselor for at least getting a second opinion.
Yeah, the
before
school
any.
definitely it was definitely the hospital. It was definitely
Right.
the hospital, staff and whatever that
Yeah.
would not release her back to her parents.
Oh,
And
immediately.
yeah, they were like, because the father stressed that that goes against our morals, that goes against our beliefs, whatever. And the hospital was like, well, you're not going to affirm this girl's care. And they released her to what New York would call Child Protective Services. They call it something else, CFS, Child and Family Services in Montana. And then she was put there. Um, so they have no rights to her, and the state has said that they will not. They'll her biological mother actually lives in Canada. They're going to. I guess the state is trying to release her to her mom in Canada,
Mhm.
because the state laws, according to the state laws, when it comes to this stuff, they have done everything that state laws have said. So they haven't gone like the state has not gone against what the laws actually say in that state. So they're standing firm on the fact that she should not be with her father and her stepmom, who have like basically raised her entire life.
Mhm.
And they're going to send her to a country and a parent that she hasn't known. So not only is she dealing with the trauma of whatever it is she's feeling going through puberty, but now you're also gonna wrench her from the only house, the only family, the only whatever she's
The
ever known,
only
and send her to a country she doesn't know with a parent she doesn't know, and that apparently is supposed to save her from whatever mental things that she's going through, whatever puberty things she's struggling with. So,
and you might not know this, and you might not know the answer to this. I don't know if it was released in the articles that you found to get this information or whatever, but that is a right that the hospital has to.
it's state law.
It's a state law.
Yeah, so the hospital has to do that. The minute
If
that the
the
child says that they feel like a different gender, whatever state law is has to go, and that state law in Montana is
without but this is without any further conversation. This is without any discussion of family counseling, of continued counseling, anything like that.
there was counseling, but it was that version of the quick counseling, right, where she met with somebody for 45 minutes.
Oh, who did that? I forget who the public figure was that Candace Owens talked with.
Yeah, right, I
Yep,
know.
yep.
Yep. Yeah, um, she went from they left out her female name, but her female name was Jennifer. She went from Jennifer to Leo, and that, like, there was nothing
So
that
right now she is in like child protective services. So she's probably in some foster house.
yeah, yeah, because they're trying to get her to her mom, which the father is saying that not only like the mom isn't that was the reason that he had her in the first place, that he was the primary parent, the primary custody was because the mother initially like was unfit. So now do we know if we're sending this kid to an unstable parent? We don't know. Have you done any checks and balances? Has CPS or Child Protective Services gone to the mother to see if the mother is even capable of caring for this child? Like, no. And now you're in a country, Canada, that will affirm whatever gender.
Immediately.
Right. So, you know,
My First off, this is just
heartbreaking. Yeah,
yes. And
absolutely.
as a mother, it's very difficult for me to not have emotions about this. I have a lot of different emotions when it comes to this. Um, we say that there's two sides to every story. You know, there's that saying where it's like your truth, my truth, and then the actual truth is somewhere in the middle. Mm,
Yep.
my heart just breaks for. Um, so you have your truth, my truth, and then the actual truth is somewhere in the middle. And I have such a hard time understanding or not getting angry about the fact that you are honoring one side and completely dismissing the other. So, okay, the father has his feelings
And
about
remember
this.
too, also, we talked about this. Both of these families, both of these stories, the father has primary custody.
Mhm.
And so it's the father's wishes or the father's beliefs that are not being
Honored
right,
or considered.
right.
So, and there's this narrative that goes around, and you hear it in so many of these stories, is that the saying of like, well, would you rather have an alive son or a dead daughter? And that's just a weapon statement. It really is a weapon statement because as a parent, there's nothing more that we feel there's nothing that we feel more than fear for our children. Fear of the world, fear of people being mean, fear of other adults taking advantage of our children, fear of them getting hurt, accidents. I mean, social media, like we are in a state, we are in an age, and we are watching our son grow up in a society that like it's terrifying to be a parent.
Yep.
And you're going to throw a weaponizing statement out there to get your point across to take advantage of a situation. So you're saying that you believe that it's more important to use a weaponizing statement to get your point across when literally the other side is saying, I'm asking you to please not do this because I'm trying to protect my child as a parent. And that is being completely dismissed. So what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding is that in order to be supportive of this, we have to only be supportive of one side. And I think that's very unfair.
Yeah.
It is unfair. And we've talked about this too. Is every home a good home? No. No. Is every family and every parent a good parent? No. They're not. But what's happening is that you are using the percentage of horrible parents and taking away the right of good parents, whether you agree with him or not. And all we're saying is just wait.
Yeah.
Just fucking wait.
Oh, Jody, Jody, Jody. 3 sides to every story, right? But the story from the minor child should be discounted to a degree. It shouldn't be the word, clearly immediate therapy needed for that child. Yeah,
100%
I
for
absolutely
everybody.
I absolutely think yeah. Yeah,
I think therapy for everybody because I also, and I've been thinking about this since you sent me these stories and I knew that we were going to talk about it. Um, oh shit. Sorry. I forgot where I was going. Go
no, I
ahead.
well, my thing to respond to Jody was is absolutely right. So like when my trauma happened, you know, with my stepfather or whatever, immediately upon the police coming and my family knowing and whatnot, they did a deep dive into me to see if I was that type of kid, to see what my track record was, to see if I was the type of kid that would lie all the time, to see, you know, it you just you do. It's not that kids are lying, it's not that kids are bad, it's not that kids but they're kids. They don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They wanna say things to please adults. They wanna say things to please their parents, the people of authority. They just do.
They
And
wanna feel a part of something, part of a
yeah,
group, the in thing. Like, they wanna just feel like there is a place for them, because as a teenager, when your hormones start to go everywhere, you feel like you don't have anywhere to go.
right.
You don't. You
Yeah,
really feel like you have nowhere to go and no one to support you through it. Parents don't understand, friends don't understand, but there's something that you're searching for and leaning for and or yearning for and wanting so badly, and you just don't know what it is. So what do? We lean into the thing that gives us some sort of satisfaction, some sort of relevance, some sort of need, and it fills that. So,
well,
and
at
unfortunately,
14, you're just trying to figure it out. You're
yeah.
trying to figure out who the hell you are. You're trying to figure out what all this means, all the words. You know what I mean? You're trying to figure it out. So to feed kids this stuff. And especially the second story, the New York story, that's the one that scared me the most, I think. It
Well, it's because it's so young and it's so close to home.
and it started when he was 3. Like, his mom left his dad, took him with her. She started feeding him all this garbage at 3 years old, and the next thing that he knew, his son was, being dressed like a girl, and all of a sudden the school is sending him letters that say, you know, the kid's name has changed. His name isn't Matthew anymore. It's I'm sorry, I forget what it is. I'll scroll through, but you know what I mean? It went all the way sideways, and he didn't even know what was happening. He got his son every other week and didn't know, to him, he was picking up his son and didn't know what was happening. And then all of a sudden, I guess, and this is New York State too. It's not even um so he has no medical authority. He has no he only has visitation rights. Um and the social transitioning happened before, he even knew what was happening.
Mhm.
And now I think the kid is 8 now,
Mhm.
or he's either 8 or 9 now, and he already doesn't want to be a girl anymore. He's already like, I'm a boy, but he's already been socially transitioned from the age of like 4. Oh, Judy. Yeah, it's Judy. So he's still got the father saying, like, he still has remnants of this Judy life, and he's gonna.
And he's 8 now,
I think he's 8. He's either 8 or 9,
but already starting
but it
to
was
decide and realize that
like,
he's not,
yeah, he's not a boy. His name was
or that he's
Matthew,
not a girl,
or yeah, he's not a girl.
that he's a boy.
Um, and he just like,
So then my question is that okay, so now he's made another choice that he's not, as fast as the choice was affirmed and followed and important and needed to be just now and the cutoff from the father and blah 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 blah, when he decided, when the mother decided, because the child had said or done something again at 3, we're going to take a 3-year-old's word, okay, and they honored that so fast, are they honoring this as fast?
no,
Probably
the
not.
mother's not.
Exactly.
Yeah, the mother's not.
Exactly. So it is a
The f the his dad wants to get him removed from whatever this counseling is and the hormone therapy, because 'cause he's been on hormone therapy. Um, so,
when did the hormone therapy start?
uh, shoot, I believe it was I think it wasn't that long ago. But it says, "Since approximately Matthew's 3rd birthday, they have expressed unprovoked that they are a girl." So not only is it not like he's also using they them pronouns. So this kid is so messed up because they're using they them pronouns and expressing that they're adamantly a girl at the age of 4 years old. How the 4? Like 4 years old? Really? And so I think the social transitioning started very early. They were about to put him on hormones, and then um he said he didn't want to be a girl anymore, and now his dad's trying to get him out of the psychotherapy or whatever that he's in
Mhm.
for this and whatever,
Mhm.
to get him out, but he doesn't have the money to fight for custody and do that.
Yep.
Right? So he's got to pick one or the other.
Yep.
And sorry, Jody, Judy, my bad. I just looked at it. It's actually Ruby. Uh, my fault.
It's all right. It's all right.
Um, uh, but yeah, so it's, I mean, and this kid he's 8. So it happened when he was 7. Like, it
And
was that year between the 7 and 8 year, but at 8, he said he didn't feel like a girl anymore, he felt like a boy.
because I think that things start to kind of
But that's what
make
kids do.
sense a little bit in a
Not
way,
kids just
or
I
like
I
change
like
your mind.
Sonic the Hedgehog. No, I don't like Sonic. I like trains. No, I don't like trains. I wanna be an astronaut. No, I don't wanna be an astronaut. I
Yep,
wanna be
a vet.
whatever mommy is. Like,
Yep. Mhm.
I mean, they're 8. It
And indecisive as hell.
Our kid changes his mind 45 times a day, and that's just about clothes.
Right.
It's not
Mhm.
about who he is as a person.
Right. Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is in Buffalo. I mean, it's a little bit far from where we grew up and where our families are in Utica, but I mean, it's that same if it's happening up there, that's the red part of New York. So, who knows what the hell is happening in the city or what the hell is happening out here when it comes to that. And that scares me to death because what happens if my autistic kid goes to school and makes a mistake and decides he wants to play with a Barbie doll, and then everybody's like, "Oh, he's trans." And you send him to the freaking hospital and they say he's trans, and then all of a sudden I say he's not trans, and then you take my kid away. What the what?
Mhm.
Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
Absolutely not.
That is that is the scariest part about all of this.
And our
E
kid likes everything. There's
everything.
nothing our kid doesn't like.
Nope.
Loves Bluey.
Mhm.
Bluey on the show is a girl.
Yep. Mhm.
So what happens then?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? What are the and not only just what are the schools, but what are the hospitals doing?
That is like,
That kills me.
uh-huh, that they just made the decision that, and that is the thing though, is that this entire debacle, that's what I'll call it. This
Okay.
entire fucking debacle that's been going on, and you're screaming from the rooftops about all of these things and whatever. And what you've done is that you have allowed other adults to make decisions for children that they are not their children.
And yeah, they think that their decisions for these kids are better than mine.
Right.
Uh,
Because
What qualifications do you have
Mhm,
that say that for like sociology, his social how how do you, so now I'm just going to be petty. We're just going to get petty wop Wednesday. That's fine. How are you telling me that you know more about the LGBTQ whatever alphabet blah 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 community than me? Are you kidding me? I'm a girl who everybody thinks is a dude.
mhm,
I can't go into a girl's bathroom. I like there's a million things that I understand about this community that you don't.
mhm.
So the state is going to say they know more about my credentials to raise my kid than I do.
But that is what this screaming and yelling from the fucking rooftop has done, is that now you have gotten, and that's the thing. They always keep saying, well, we want laws and we want laws and we want laws and we want laws. You want laws to make your decision. Do you not understand what a law does? Is it takes your choice away from you.
Like for the
It
last
takes
time,
it away from
get
you.
out of my house.
That's
Like just get out
that's
of my
what I'm
whole house.
that's what I'm saying. And I have a very hard time, and this is probably the angry side that I have, is that
Fair.
you are asking, the community is asking for us to honor and respect who they authentically feel they are.
You're talking about the adult trans community.
Yes. That
Yes.
has been screaming from the fucking rooftop.
Right.
You are asking us to acknowledge, respect, support, and just be okay with the fact that you are who you are and you want to live happy just like everybody else. Okay, fine. You want us to understand. You want us to get it. But what you don't do is you don't give it back to anybody else. We don't have grace. We don't have understanding. We're not allowed to ask questions. We're not allowed to take a minute and say, you know what? That doesn't, I'm not sure how to take this. But we are expected to give you grace, to give you understanding, to give you respect, to be okay from the very beginning. But you give nobody that back. You don't give parents that back. You don't give anybody that's there for their kid. You give none of that to us,
And
and you're
they
taking
want
it all away.
and they want us to prove our loyalty, and I'm gonna say this is a hot freaking take, and yeah, they want us to prove our loyalty to them by sacrificing our kids,
I'm not.
and I'm not.
I'm not. I'm not doing it.
I'm not loyal enough to any freaking group to sacrifice my kid.
And how dare you to ask me to do that?
That's what they're asking. That is exactly what they're asking. By asking us to take our kid, like, for us to take our kid to Pride, for us to explain gender, explain sex, explain whatever to our freaking however young you wanna go, to explain it to them at that age when there's no reason for them to know that
No.
at all. And like fly flags around and march and do all this crap. You're asking us to sacrifice our kids' childhood for that,
His
for their
innocence.
loyalty.
He doesn't
I'm
understand.
That's not no.
He doesn't understand.
Yeah. No.
And why is it so important for you?
Yeah.
Why is it so important for you what I do to support and protect my child? Because I'm a good mom. You're
Yeah.
a good mom. So what does it matter to you how I choose to protect my child? Because your definition of protection is not the same
Same
as
as
mine,
yeah.
but you are not a mother.
And if you've ever that's the funny thing too. If you've ever been through anything in your life, if you ever been through any kind of trauma, hardship, or whatever, you don't want your kid to know that. You don't want your kid to see anything like that. You never want your kid to have to experience that ever in their life.
Mhm.
So why in the hell
Are
would
you
I explain
asking
it to them,
Mhm.
and why are you asking me to?
Why are you asking me to traumatize my kid?
There's there's no reason for it.
And I think that this is a bigger this is a bigger, I guess,
This is all bigger, but
like part of the conversation is that a lot of times, whether it's trauma, whether it's this feeling of being in the wrong body and all of these type of things, the common rich, poor, skin color, whatever you want to say, always the line is, you will never know what it feels like to walk in my shoes. And you know the answer to that is, you're right. You're right. It doesn't mean I don't have empathy for you. It doesn't mean that I don't respect you. It doesn't mean that I can understand the trauma and the challenges and the hurt that you might have experienced if you choose to share that with me. But I will never walk in your shoes. And the perfect example of that is that when I was talking to someone and they said 3 people can go to the same funeral and will not react or respond to the funeral in the same way. One person is going to shut down, has nothing to say. Another person is going to be so hysterical that they're going to end up in the hospital because they can't fucking function. You're going to have the third one that could start taking drugs, start drinking, lose their job, lose their family,
self-medicate,
self
yeah.
medicate, whatever you want to say. 3 different people are going to experience that differently.
Yeah.
So, which one is right? Which one is the correct way? Your experience is more important to you because that's your experience. But what you're telling me is that because I don't experience it the same way that you do, that my experience is not relevant as
It's
well.
not valid.
And
And
that's
and it sucks because I think if you talk to the majority of gays, lesbians, whatever, transgender people, like we really all just want to we don't want to introduce ourselves as gay. We don't want to walk into a room and have rainbow everywhere. We're not trying to bother anybody in a bathroom. We're not trying to do any of that crap. We're just trying to be normal, respectful people. And the fact that
You keep
these
bringing my kid into
like
the
you
conversation.
keep doing too much, bro. Like you're being so extra for no reason. There's no reason for you to want to be in a woman's space. There's no reason for tampons to be in a boy's bathroom. There's no reason for it. There's like, what is happening? It's not a thing. Stop doing it. It's not all of us. The rest of us are suffering for it. And like, you're making us look bad. Sorry, but I'm going to call a spade a spade. You're making us look like shit right now. Stop it. We're all just trying to chill, make some money, have a retirement, raise our kids, go through life. No one's trying to bother anybody. But y'all now, whatever this is, whatever the great, like, liberal far left agenda is now just fucking with everybody. And not saying that the far right agenda isn't either, but like
Mhm.
in my world, it's the far left agenda that's fucking with everybody.
When
Stop
it
it.
Yeah, when it comes to stuff like
You're
this.
messing with my kid. You're messing like you're messing with my life. You're messing with everybody else's life that I know and care about.
Mhm.
Like, stop.
Mhm.
It's not necessary.
Mhm.
Everybody already has what they wanted. Like, there's nobody that I know, even straight people. There's no straight people I know that are gonna go immediately out the door, find a transgender person and mess with them and make their life a living fucking hell. Like, I don't know any straight person like that either.
Mhm.
So what are we doing? And now you're ripping kids out of homes
Mhm.
because they're struggling.
Yep.
Kids struggle. Families have to figure out how to maneuver and work through the struggle.
Mhm.
Now you're teaching kids how to not cope with things. Just like, oh, this is what you want. Here, fine, you can have it.
That's exactly what
Doesn't
this
matter what the
community.
consequence is.
Yeah, that's exactly what this
Fine, here, you can
generation
have it.
is going through. There's no sort of accountability, there's no coping mechanisms, there's no understanding, there's
You have to
no.
figure it out. That's part of it. That's part of
Mhm.
growing up. Part of growing up is figuring out how to deal with crap. And it
Mhm.
sucks and it's hard and it's difficult. And you go home to your parents and you talk about it. And you talk to your friends and you fight with your friends and you fight with your parents and you hate your parents and then you love your parents again. That's all part of it.
But we're also teaching kids that just because our parents don't agree with us, that they don't that they're not gonna protect us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they're teaching. The
Yeah.
minute that your parent chooses to, like, doesn't agree with you on something, before it was like, okay, my mom's being an asshole, my dad's being an asshole, you
But
go
they
to your
love me.
room, but they love me
But
and
they,
they're always gonna
right.
protect me.
Yep.
Now what's happening is that if a parent doesn't completely agree with everything that you say, that they're not gonna protect me, and that the best place for me to be is to not be with my parents.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we are going to lose a lot of kids
Yep.
to.
And parents are already feeling that pain. They're already feeling like, hey, my kid doesn't trust me.
Because they don't. Because
Right.
society tells them not
They
to.
don't have to.
Nope.
And that sucks.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
The minute that kids started to be part of the conversation, and again, and I said this at the beginning of this podcast, that when you said that, two families have lost custody of their children for not affirming them or whatever, there are actually people out there that are applauding for this.
I know.
And there are actually people out there that are celebrating and saying, you know what? We've done it. We've done all the work. We've done all the work for our kid, for our younger generation that just needs good support and whatever. And my response to you would be, who are you to believe that a child is better off without their parents?
Yeah.
What gives you that right? What gives you that right to come into my house and take my kid away from me because I'm doing what I feel like is protecting my kid? And by doing that, what I'm simply asking for is time.
Yeah.
I'm asking for time. I'm asking for help. I'm asking for support. I'm asking for therapy and understanding for me, for you, for him. And
All they want is the money.
you're taking it all away.
For money.
I can't.
Always. It's always about the money. And it still is, and it is right now, and Democrats are about the money.
Well, because also too, if you think that you're screaming from the rooftop to get somewhere and to get something and to feel like that you're more important than the money, please understand that you are just supporting the fact that every single person, like you said, is a dollar sign. That's what they see.
Yeah.
Whenever this happens.
It is.
But from a parent's perspective, please stop.
Yeah.
Please stop. I'm not saying don't live your truth. I'm not saying don't live the life that fulfills you and makes you happy and find your community and find your friends, and to the families that are not good families and to the kids that don't have the good support, find your people. I'm not saying that there aren't people out like that, but please fucking stop. Stop, because it's going to get to a point where so many more kids are going to be ripped away from their parents. And our son is 6.
Yeah.
And he's autistic. And he doesn't understand. He doesn't comprehend a lot of things.
Yeah, the liberals had me until now you're putting men in women's spaces, and now you're trying to get children. And I have a line, and my line is that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable.
We
Like,
don't.
and
But
even transgender, the word transgender, I challenge that all day long, all the time. Transgender means that you actually transitioned. It doesn't mean you're a drag queen. It doesn't mean you like to cross dress. It means that you've transitioned. It means that you've gone through a medical transition to be a female.
mm-hmm.
And you want to go into women's spaces saying you're trans, but you're not. You're lying. You're not trans. So like, and take the easiest one to understand. The easiest one to understand is who the swimmer.
Leah Thompson.
Thank you. She has not medically transitioned. He has not medically transitioned. There's no medical transition. He has had no surgeries, and he's had like little to no hormones. You are not trans. Like, you're not. Caitlyn Jenner, not trans. She's not trans. If you haven't gone through the medical transition, you're not trans. And you can go watch any, even Billy Porter, who yells to the heavens about being whoever authentically you are. If you watch the show Pose that was put out on FX, trans in the 80s, 70s, 90s, whatever, meant you medically transitioned. And that's not what's happening now. You can be trans and do absolutely nothing. That's not trans. That's cross-dressing. That's just being a dude that puts on lipstick. That's just being a drag queen, which I have absolute respect for.
Yeah, do your thing.
Drag queens are the, like, fly. I got it. Love a good drag show. I have no disrespect for, but you are not trans. You don't fall under the flag of trans. And those people that are trans, that do like go through all of this, they're not the ones in women's bathrooms. They're not the ones trying to. I'm sorry, Jody. I want to answer your question. What would you call them? Cross dressers? Yeah. Yeah. If you're just a dude that wears women's clothing and likes to wear women's makeup, like, you're a cross dresser, or you perform drag. You're in the art of drag. Because I don't want to diminish, like, drag queens. They're awesome. I don't want you reading books to my kids, but like a good drag show at when I was 20 at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday was fly. So
we went for our honeymoon.
Yeah.
We went to Key West, and those drag
and
shows
those drag shows were
amazing.
fire.
As
Yeah,
adults.
as
As
actual, like, I was in
adults.
my 30s and you were in your 20s. Like,
There's
there's not
strip there's strip there's stripping down, there's twerking, there's
yeah,
inappropriate dancing and
everything
grinding and
yep,
inappropriate jokes and blah. That is for adults.
adults.
And also too, sexual orientation, it starts with the word sex. Why are we talking about sex with minors? Why are we doing that? The only thing that our kids need to know and learn and understand is like we do it with our son. It Your penis is yours. Nobody else should touch it. And when you want to touch it, you need to go somewhere and have privacy. And he knows exactly where he has privacy.
Yeah.
But having
And
God,
yes, I want to and yes, Jody, Pose was a great show and it actually did depict what happened then. And that was the story and that was true and that's but they pushed that fear from that time frame and that's not really what the fear is now. Like, yeah, of course, there's always gonna be people that don't like us or don't like trans people or don't like, whatever. There's always gonna be those people. That's fine. There's always gonna be people that don't like black people. There's always gonna be people that don't like certain religions. There's always gonna be those people. That's fine. But what they went through at that time in the 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s, or even late 90s, that actually happened, but that's not what's happening now. That's not what we're going through now. That I mean, you have RuPaul on what is it called? What's the RuPaul show?
oh, Drag Race.
Drag Race. You got Drag Race, you got all I mean, shoot, you had one of the NSYNCers? Wasn't he in drag on that show?
Oh, AJ, he was from
Yeah,
the Backstreet
man, like,
Boys. He did like a show or like a
there's
dance
not
show, didn't
this
know who it was or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that as an adult.
yeah, it's fine.
As an adult.
Stop messing with kids and women. Like, stop it. It's absolutely and again, don't mess with my kid.
That's the thing.
That's the at the end of the day, don't mess with my kid.
As a parent, this is the scariest reality of this entire situation that has been brought up. And I know that I said that I wasn't ready to talk about this publicly for a long time, but the minute that I heard that they were going to start going after kids and, taking kids away and affirming kids and whatever, and I just believe that's not right. And my question always is, why do you have to go from 0 to 100 like that?
Yeah.
Why can't there be steps? Why is hormones the first thing that comes to mind? Why is only therapy alone with a minor the most appropriate type of therapy? Why can't a parent sit and have therapy together? The child has therapy, the parent has therapy, they have family therapy together. I mean, why is going and shooting hormones and cutting off body parts, like, why is that the first thing that we all have to do in order to support this? It's not. It's not. And it doesn't have to be this extreme.
They don't wanna you can't sit down and have a conversation with somebody on the left. They don't want to.
Well, explain it to me, because if you want to, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
If
I
you want to sit down and have a conversation and explain to me why families losing custody over their children because they have questions and they have concerns for their children, that it's appropriate for them to lose custody. Please explain to me how this is okay. I'll sit down with you and have a conversation.
and we'll leave it at that. Jody Lynn, thank you. We love you. You're the best ever.
Mhm.
And everybody have a great and safe weekend. Clinton, thanks.
Bye.
Deuces.